The mid-season finale situation of Love and Marriage, Huntsville has fans shaking their heads, and for good reason. What should have been just another episode in a long season turned into a bigger conversation about credibility, trust, and the direction of the show itself. Things took a turn when one of the Instagram platforms that regularly reports on the show announced that the latest episode, which was only episode 8, was actually the mid-season finale. That meant the season was being split in half and the show would be going on a break. Immediately, people were confused. Longtime viewers know this show normally runs longer seasons, 15 episodes, sometimes 20 or even more, depending on how thick the drama gets. So when this news broke, fans couldn't understand how a finale could happen after just 8 episodes. It didn't add up, and people started asking questions. Then came Carlos King, who is always front and center when it comes to defending the show. He jumped into the comments in all caps, shutting down the mid-season finale talk. He called it false, he called it fake news, and he tried to dismiss the entire conversation as bloggers and fans making things up. He wanted people to believe the show was rolling along as usual and there was no reason to think it was being cut short. For a moment, some fans even believed him. But then, just days later, OWN themselves released an official banner that confirmed exactly what the bloggers had been saying. Love and Marriage, Huntsville was in fact taking a break and would not return until November 15th with the remaining episodes of Season 6. That confirmation exposed everything. It exposed Carlos King's denial, it exposed OWN's scramble, and it brought back a conversation fans have been having for months now. Without Melody Shari at the center, the show does not have the strength to carry a full season. This is where things get interesting. Melody Shari has been the heartbeat of Love and Marriage, Huntsville since the very beginning. The franchise was built around her marriage to Martel Holt, their struggles, their divorce, and the aftermath of their breakup. Every major storyline connected back to Melody in some way. Marceau and Letitia Scott brought in drama with cheating rumors and marital issues. Maurice and Kimmy Scott carried quieter storylines with family blending and health updates. But the glue, the focus, and the star power came from Melody. She was the one fans tuned in for, whether they loved her or loved to hate her. She was the one who carried the emotional weight of the show season after season. And now, with her stepping away, it feels like the show has lost its anchor. Think about the timeline. We're only 8 episodes into Season 6, and suddenly the show has to take a break. That has never been the pattern for Love and Marriage, Huntsville. This show has always been stacked with episodes, often running long seasons with no major interruptions. So why now? Why pause halfway through? It looks like the network is scrambling to stretch what little content they have, and it raises an even bigger question: did they cut the order of episodes down because Melody is gone? That theory makes sense. If OWN knew the storylines without Melody weren't strong enough to fill 15 or 20 episodes, they may have reduced the order from the very beginning. And when fans think about it that way, everything starts to line up. Melody walked away because she knew her worth. She didn't want to carry the show on her back anymore while others coasted off her storyline. She had other projects, her music, her beauty line, her brand partnerships, and she didn't need the show to stay relevant. Now, look at the mess that's left. Martel Holt is still around, but his drama feels recycled. He's still fighting with Melody, he's still tied up with Ariane Curry, and he's still chasing relevance by stirring up old wounds. Marceau and Letitia Scott are trying to hold things together, but fans have been side-eyeing them for years because of cheating rumors and the way Marceau dodges direct questions. Maurice and Kimmy Scott have a storyline with Kimmy's health journey and family blending, but it doesn't deliver the same level of drama that keeps people glued to the screen. Without Melody pulling it all together, the show feels scattered and weak. And the ratings are showing it. Fans have noticed the numbers slipping. At one point, Love and Marriage, Huntsville could pull in 400,000 or 500,000 viewers an episode. Now, the show is barely holding on in the 200,000 range. The mid-season finale only gave a tiny bump in ratings, adding about 7,000 viewers from the previous week. That's not enough to brag about. It's not enough to restore confidence. And it certainly doesn't look like the performance of a so-called #1 show on OWN. Ratings don't lie. They show where the audience really stands, and right now, the audience is either tuning out or losing interest. Once people check out, it's almost impossible to bring them back. This is why Carlos King's response to the mid-season finale news has fans so upset. He tried to call bloggers liars. He tried to dismiss the same people who keep the conversation about the show alive online. And then OWN themselves turned around and proved the bloggers right. That damages trust. It makes fans feel like they're being misled. It makes Carlos King look like he either doesn't know what's going on or is intentionally covering up the truth to protect the network. Either way, it's not a good look. Fans notice. Fans talk. And once credibility is lost, it's hard to win it back. The mid-season break also shows how desperate things may be behind the scenes. Why would OWN take the risk of cutting a season in half, knowing that viewers might move on in the meantime? We've seen this happen before. With Ready to Love, OWN thought they could split the season, take a break, and bring it back later. But when they returned, the ratings had sunk to record lows because fans had lost interest. The same thing could easily happen with Love and Marriage, Huntsville. People will find other shows to watch in the meantime. They'll forget to come back in November. And when they don't return, the numbers will sink further. OWN is playing a dangerous game, and the stakes are high. And now, let's talk about the cast dynamics as the season sits in limbo. One thing fans have noticed is that Marceau Scott has been stepping into more of a central role. He's getting more screen time, carrying more storylines, and even his scenes with his daughter have been given weight. He's sarcastic, he's messy, and he can stir up drama in a way that keeps episodes moving. By comparison, Letitia Scott is fading. She wasn't even on the last episode, and when she does appear, she doesn't bring much energy. Fans online are even saying that her daughter has more charisma and star quality than she does. That imbalance is becoming obvious, and people are wondering if producers are sidelining her intentionally. Maybe it's because of things she said outside the show, like her podcast comments about Martell. Sometimes producers push back by reducing screen time, and that might be what's happening with Letitia right now. Meanwhile, Martell Holt is still trying to hold on to relevance. He sat down with Chris in the mid-season finale to talk about moving Ariane Curry into a property. That alone shows where his head is at. Even after all the drama, backlash, and chaos Ariane has brought, Martell still wants to keep her close to the storyline. And honestly, if OWN and Carlos King really wanted to shock the audience, they might bring Ariane onto the show in the finale when it returns in November. That would be the explosive twist, the cliffhanger, the desperate move to reignite interest. It would divide fans, for sure. Some would hate it and threaten to walk away, but others would be glued to their screens. In a ratings battle, shock factor sometimes wins, and Ariane's arrival would definitely shake the table. But even with all of this, the shadow of Melody Shari still hangs over everything. Her absence is glaring. Her impact is undeniable. Fans keep pointing out that without her, the show doesn't feel the same. The drama feels forced. The storylines feel recycled. The energy feels flat. Melody's decision to step back exposed how much the entire franchise depended on her. She wasn't just part of the cast, she was the foundation. Without her, the cracks are showing, and the mid-season break only made those cracks wider. When you put all the pieces together, it becomes clear why fans are talking about desperation. The show is running shorter seasons. The ratings are slipping. Carlos King's credibility is under fire. The network is scrambling. And the cast is being shuffled around to see who can carry the weight without Melody. Marceau is stepping up, Letitia is fading, Martell is reaching for shock value, and Maurice and Kimmy are just holding their space. But none of it feels enough to restore the spark. And that's why people keep asking, will Melody return? Is OWN or Carlos King behind the scenes begging her to come back, even if just for a few episodes, to save the season? It wouldn't be surprising if that's happening. Because the truth is, without Melody, Love and Marriage, Huntsville feels like it's on shaky ground if fans are divided in how they see the future. Some believe the show can survive if new drama is brought in and if Marceau or Martell can step fully into the spotlight. Others say it's already on the decline and will never recover without Melody. The numbers, the trust issues, and the mid-season finale all suggest that the second group may be right. OWN may be testing to see if the franchise can live without her, but if the break kills momentum and ratings sink further, they might have to make a tough decision. Renew it with big changes, or let it go altogether, and that's the heart of the controversy. This is about more than just a scheduling pause. It's about whether the show can survive without the woman who carried it from day one. It's about whether Carlos King can rebuild trust with fans after calling them liars. It's about whether the cast can create new storylines strong enough to compete with what Melody once brought. And it's about whether OWN is willing to gamble the future of its #1 show on a mid-season break that could backfire in a big way.